Okay, today we're playing a game on Nepal. The average SR of this game was 1,781, and we will be playing Mercy the entire way through. And our current team composition is Diva, Orisa, McCree, Reaper, Mercy, and Lucio. So, very average and very adequate. We've got a main tank, we've got an off tank, we've got McCree, who is very good at killing flankers, which are very common on King of the Hill maps. We've got Reaper, who is very good at killing dive tanks, which are very common on King of the Hill maps. We've got Mercy, who is the most important hero in the game right now, and we've got Lucio, who is very good at King of the Hill. One of the best heroes in the game at King of the Hill, in fact. So, not much to say about it, let's start the game. However, also worth noting, we are in Silver SR, so team comp doesn't even really matter that much, because most people don't even know how to play their heroes correctly anyway. But, we've got a pretty good team comp. So we're on Village, my favorite map in the game, and we're all deciding to go down onto the low ground first, which is, of course, not recommended on Village, because you always want to go up on the high ground first, because then you get to contest the high ground, which is, of course, very strong, because the team that has control of the high ground can just shoot down onto the point uncontested, and it's very hard to do anything about it. Which is why we always want to go up onto the high ground and fight over that at the start of the game, if at all possible, but we didn't decide to do that because we're in low SR. Not that that even really makes much difference, because I can tell you that people in Diamond, Masters, Platinum, whatever, they're all just as likely to not take the high ground anyway, because no one really seems to appreciate how strong the high ground is. This is very depressing. So we're just going to fight down here. Fortunately, the enemy team is also in Silver, so they're just going to run straight at us from the low ground as well. Somebody's snipping around the backside. We decide to pull out the pistol and shoot at the person, which I don't really recommend doing unless the thing you're shooting at is Tracer, because the enemy team, your team rather, is not very likely to hit the Tracer, honestly. Whereas somebody big and beefy like Roadhog, someone on your team is quite likely to hit, and you damage boosting someone else is usually more impactful. So, we are healing the Orisa, but whilst we are doing that, we are slowly drifting towards the enemy team, because of course people popped out over here, but not the entire enemy team, so where are the rest of the enemy team? Well, they're right behind us, actually, and there's Reinhardt, and that's very scary. We should not... It's kind of a situation where, like, nowhere is really very safe, because people are coming at from both sides of the objective, but lesser of two evils, over here is just a Moira and a Roadhog. Over here is the rest of the team, so I would recommend standing more sort of in the middle, closer to the other side, because Reinhardt hitting you in the back of the skull is very scary. So they've also got a Sombra. We've just been hacked by Sombra, and Hun Sombra is trying to run us down, and there's not very much we can do to stop that because we can't GA away. Sombra is also one that is usually worth taking the pistol out to try and scare off, because she, after hacking you, is going to try and kill you. And if you shoot Sombra enough, she will probably translocate away. So McCree has come over here to die in a very inconvenient location. However, the enemy team are not really doing anything, so we can just come over here and res them. So, no big deal. Enemy team have largely all died, despite us not really interacting with anybody. It's not very much has happened, honestly. And not much happens for a little while now, either, because the enemy team is quite bad at regrouping in this SR. So there's not usually much reason looking like that direction, because it's pretty unlikely somebody's going to be over there. Saying that, Sombra does pop out right behind us, but there's not usually somebody just like chilling on top of the point, and you can usually listen for that. Tends to be better to look like directly behind you to see if there's like Sombra back there, or a Tracer or Genji, or like keeping an eye over here, because not usually anybody hanging out on the top of the point. It's quite unusual. Because it's not really that great of a place to be. If it's Reaper, he might try and drop bear you, but that's kinda it, really. Like, people, it's more common for the defending team to be up there than for somebody to be trying to sneak up there. So, Reaper's all the way over there, which he shouldn't have been doing, and then we, it's very awkward, because we just sort of aren't in range of in range of him, and then kind of stand around out in the open for a really long time, and then we cut back around in the direction where the entire enemy team is now coming from. So in general, it's really awkward. First off, I'd write this dude off as being dead, because he fucking is. And he's not going to die in anywhere approaching a place that is realistic for us to actually res him, because the entire enemy team is there. So, first off, I write him off as completely dead and don't even try. But, even if we try, don't go this way, this is where the entire enemy team is going, and then this happens, and even if that didn't happen, like, the entire enemy team is going that way, so it's really easy to die still, go back around the other way. You, as Mercy, are the most important member of your team, so don't try and save someone who was being stupid, because you're more important than they are. Because you're playing Mercy. It's just kinda how it is. I mean, in general, supports are the most important people on the team, but Mercy is the most important of the most important people, so. Currently damage boosting Lucio, not really ideal if it can be avoided. There's an Orisa there who's better to damage boost than Lucio. We pull out the pistol to try and shoot at Sombra, fair enough, Sombra's one of those people. We are now sort of hustling in to join in on this melee on the other Mercy, and well, it gets very messy very quickly. I would just sit on top of the ramp and damage boost somebody going into there. So this is very sad because this Junkrat popped out next to us. Did we see him? We saw him. We should not try to do this directly next to a Junkrat because the risk of a Junkrat killing you while your animation locked is quite high. But, even just disregarding that, he bumps us far enough away that it breaks the Resurrect, which still puts it on the cooldown because it got cancelled. If Res gets cancelled, goes on cooldown. I do kinda wish that Mercy had the option to, like, self-cancel her res and get, like, half the cooldown refunded if she cancelled it herself. But, Mercy doesn't need any more buffs, so it's fine. And then we're like, what the hell? Why is it not work? Yeah, it got broke, so it goes on cooldown. Don't try and res somebody right next to a Junkrat. There are very few heroes in the game where it is really recommended trying to res somebody right next to them. Junkrat is one of the worst ones, though, because he can suddenly spike you to death very quickly, and if nothing else, just push you away from it. So a lot of our team are currently dead. Here comes Sombra. Orisa is behind us, which is news to me. Yeah, Orisa is shooting behind us, and we start going this way. So, it's better to go up to the Orisa, because the Orisa can actually try and save us from the Sombra. Whereas just going that way, we're going towards nothing. I did not realize Orisa was there, but we could indeed see Orisa shooting at Sombra, so she was definitely up there. So she would have been better to go to. We have almost got Valkyrie. It has taken us a very long time to build up this Valkyrie, which is very sad, because Valkyrie charges very quickly. Their Moira is currently using Coalescence over here. We could have res that... No, he died on the inside of the point. Never mind, I thought he died on the outside. Screw that guy. So, we've got Valkyrie now. It is the sort of thing where, like, I would just use it right now, because we are pretty invested in this team fight. And this is also basically the last team fight we're going to get, where we're at 75%. Valkyrie lasts 20 seconds, which is somewhere in the region of fucking forever. So, you can pop it, like, right at the start of a fight, and it will probably still be running by the time the fight ends. So... And it is one of those ultimates that's kind of just like, I would like to win the team fight now, actually. So, because suddenly you're healing or damage boosting everybody and you've got 2 reses that are instant cast. So, usually worth using like right at the start of the team fight because it lasts so long that it will probably still be going by the end of the team fight. And you can just res people as they die, and it's hard for them to even kill people because you're suddenly healing the entire team. Really good ultimate, very strong. So we're currently hanging out really close to the Orisa, and therefore the ground, where the peasant folk are, which we shouldn't be doing when we're in Valkyrie, because the point is usually to go as high as possible. Where it is really hard to get hit by stuff, basically. We almost got hit by that tire, which we shouldn't have been able, should not have ever even really been a concern for us. We did get emped, so it is, makes it rather difficult for us to res people initially, but then we've got res up. Still, they're still here, so we can res them after it ends. And now, Valkyrie is over, teamfight has not actually ended, which is very sad, because they also had a Mercy and they used Samba. There's a lot of sadness, basically. And now we're in here trying to touch the point. We die, because we're the Mercy touching the point, and that's it. Diva is here, so it's not unimaginable, honestly, that, we still stall it out, because the enemy team... People in Silver are really bad at killing people, and Diva is one of the heroes that takes the longest period of time to kill. So she can stall it out long enough for Winston and Tracer to get there, and then that keeps the match going. I'm pretty sure we win this round. We go 3 rounds. I'm pretty sure we win the first round. So here comes Roadhog. Roadhog shouldn't be doing that because he's all by his lonesome. Yeah, that was really bad, and we can just res Winston. Bam, it's like he was never even here, and he wasted his ultimate to do that when he was never going to do anything at all. This is the thing with, like, low SR, is people in low SR are really bad at killing people. So stalling heroes become exponentially better. Like, because suddenly the D.Va or the Mei, who take a really long time to kill baseline, suddenly take about 7 times longer to kill than they usually do because they don't even know how to kill people yet. Which is why you get in situations like this in low SR where we had lost the round, but it took them a very long time to kill D.Va, and then Winston, and then the rest of the team got back. Easy money. So now our team are really feeling it, Mr. Krabs, and they're going to go out here and fight. Somebody's touching the point behind us. It's probably Sombra, because they managed to slip past us, and indeed it was Sombra. In general, don't recommend hanging out next to this staircase, because that's the staircase right next to the... that's the staircase that belongs to the enemy team, because it's on their half of the map, so it's the side they are most likely to start coming from, as the Reaper who is behind us is coming from there. Don't recommend standing next to the staircase. At least check there frequently to see if somebody's coming, because it's where people are likely to come from. So, they are now having to run in and touch the point, but they were quite staggered when the last team fight started, so it doesn't really go very well for them. So now we're on Shrine. We lose this round, as you may guess, because I've already spoiled that we do indeed go 3 rounds. Remember when King of the Hill games were 5 rounds? Oh, those were the golden ages. Each King of the Hill game took about 30 years to end, but man, I really like King of the Hill, so it was my time. Okay, so we got here faster because we're a very fast team anyway, and we also have a Lucio, so we get here very quickly. Our Junkrat decided he didn't want to live anymore, though, and he's now dead. D.Va has lost her mech, so we're basically down 2 people right now, and things are not really going very well for us. Winston and Lucio are also now dead. Don't even try and raise this fool, because even if you do res him, all he's gonna do is die again immediately afterwards, because you and him were like the only 2 people left alive. So, he gets interrupted, so it goes on the cooldown, and now we still don't have the cooldown for 15 seconds after reviving, which is, like, kinda sad, but, like, not the end of the world, either. But, worst case scenario, honestly, like, you res him again, they just kill him a second time, and then they get more ult charge because they killed that dude a second time when he was, like, never gonna do anything with the res. The worst thing that a Mercy player can do is, like, res a tank in a team fight that they have already lost, because you res the tank. Tank's a big HP sponge, so suddenly the enemy team gets to kill a tank again, and they get even more ult charge off of it, and you'd already lost the fight by that point, so that ends up just being really detrimental to your team. So we went, like, a really long way around here to get to the point, but, like, they're all dead anyway, and then, like, ultimates start happening, we shouldn't be here anymore. Honestly, it's like, you look out at, like, that, already know, then it gets to this, definitely not. Go back in the door and wait for your team to get back again, because this is not gonna work. Don't even hang out this close. It's pretty common for people to skulk in this, room after a team fight is over, because they're waiting to just try and kill somebody, basically, and they come into the room. Don't stand in that room. This is not so bad, because it's a little bit more hazardous for somebody to come in that doorway. So our team's back, and we're rushing onto the point with surprising coordination for a team that's in silver, honestly. Their Mercy has just used her ultimate. We do not have our ultimate because we have just lost 2 fights very resoundingly, so we are definitely not going to have the ult advantage over her. And now half of our team is dead, and therefore we are fucked. Regardless of what we do, basically. And it is basically that simple. It's like, things are going okay, oh no, he got pinned into the ceiling. Tracer dies at the exact same time. Rezzing both of these people is unlikely to happen, because the entire enemy team is rushing on the point. We don't even know where Tracer actually even died. So yeah, we just kind of lose that fight, and there's not very much we can do about it, because 2 people died very quickly, we couldn't res them. We lose the fight, because we're down 2 people suddenly right at the start, and one of them was one of our tanks. So, get fucked, basically. Overwatch is this way, where if you lose too many people all at once, you just lose the team fight. It's just what happens. So we've almost... If we had Valkyrie, it would have probably been okay, because we could res both people and keep fighting, but we didn't have Valkyrie, so obviously that wasn't really an option by that point in time. Don't damage boost the Junkrat when he's using the tire. It doesn't actually work, because the tire is a separate entity to Junkrat. It's the same reason damage boosting a Torbjorn does not boost his turret's damage, or Symmetra's turrets. They are separate entities, therefore they don't get damage boosted. So we have Valkyrie built up now. Quite a few people are low health and might die. Again, Valkyrie is one of those ultimates that you can just pop really soon. Right at the start of the fight and generally be good. However, it starts looking like we're going to win the team fight. However, then we hear the tire, and presumably this Valkyrie is in response to having heard the tire. Just use it immediately, because the point of using it in response to the tire is to just get as high as possible so the tire can't kill you. The longer you wait, the greater the chance the tire has of getting to you before you take off, and then just killing your Valkyrie and being very sad. Valkyrie is one of those ultimates that is always better used too early rather than too late, because when you use it too late, it can't do anything at all. If you use it too early, you've still got 20 seconds of nigh invulnerability where you can res two people and both of your beams become AoE. So using it too early is, rarely gonna be... It's not gonna be great if you use it too early and it turns out you didn't need it, but it'll still last 20 seconds, which is a long goddamn time. So, whereas if you use it too late, you die. And you feel really bad about it. We do lose our Valkyrie again during this round, though there wasn't really much we could have done about this one, to be fair. Who said stay with team? We were basically always with team. Stay with team? What was that guy's name? Grandiose. Like, the whole team was basically always together. Very surprisingly little staggering actually happened for a silver game. Like, it's just... we're bad. Like, that's basically... Our team is bad. We're all worse than them, is what it looks like based off that round. So what, Tracer also, like, if you need further proof, look what Tracer just did. Nobody escapes the eye of judgment. So, and then I kind of thought she was about to immediately throw herself off the map again right there. So their Reinhardt has died immediately, which is terrible for them. Oh no. Oh no. Oh no. Gotta be careful when you're going over a pit that you're gonna get to the other side, because otherwise that can happen. That wasn't your Discord. That was the video game, by the way. So, yeah. Careful about going over pits. Don't cancel the GA if you're going over a pit, because then you end up in the pit. That's when you push space, because if you push space while you're going through the GA, it propels you past the person a little bit, which is sick. And the physics don't really work correctly on it, but you go further. Canceling it puts you in the pit. Don't do that. Don't go in the pit. No one wants to go in the pit. So even though they lost their Reinhardt right at the start of the fight, which should be the death nail for them, we ended up in the pit, which was the death nail for us. Shocking insight. Brace yourself. Don't throw yourself off the map. It tends to be counterproductive. Unless you are already definitely going to die, in which case throw yourself into a pit so the enemy team can't kill you and therefore don't get any ult charge. So we have dashed in onto the point to try and save this Reinhardt, whom we will definitely not save because he is surrounded by the entire enemy team and in critical health. This is a man you write off as being dead. And also, we can't try and res him because the entire enemy team is still next to him also, so we will not get to res him. Even if we did res him, he would be surrounded by the entire enemy team still, and we would then just kill him again. You just write that guy off as being dead, and like, if the enemy team then disperses enough to like, don't forget, the dude's body stays there for 10 seconds after he dies. So like, you write him off as being dead, because you can't save him. And like, if the enemy team disperses enough over the next 10 seconds, you can go in and try to res him. And if they don't, you just don't even try still. But like, just going in like that, he's dead. You res him like right there, you probably die. Well, you definitely do die. See, we just died right there, empirical evidence. But, even if you res him, he still probably dies because the entire enemy team is still, like, bunched up right there. If you wait for them to disperse a little bit, maybe you actually get to res him, and maybe he actually gets to do something again. Advice for all supports, do not be afraid to just write a man off as being dead. Because you risking your life to try and save him will most often just also get you killed, thus making the situation worse, because you are more important than that dude was, and you just died with him as well. So, fight over here not going so terribly. We are being, slowly cooked by Moira from behind, but we got to res the Reinhardt and slip away, because Moira was the only one doing damage to us, and Moira doesn't have extraordinarily great kill potential. She needs to work the person over for a little while first. We have managed to just barely skirt by that Earth Shatter, however most of our team were not so lucky, and then we got exploded. Several more explosions are now happening, and in the end I still can't really tell you who's winning the fight at the end of it all. All I know is that both teams ended up exploding. Pretty fucked, basically. Like, we dodged the Earth Shatter, which is great. Other members of our team did not. Then Barrage happens. We didn't have Valkyrie yet to try and res people. Having Valkyrie tends to be quite important for that situation, because it's kind of the only way you really save it is if you've got Valkyrie, because then you get to res 2 people. Which is often enough. Even when you could get the huge res, resing 2 people was usually the most common type of res, 2 or 3 people. Because more than that wasn't really realistic anyway. So if you've got Valkyrie, her ultimate tends to have the exact same impact as the regular res did. Though the ceiling on that is lower, because you can't res 5 people as you could with the old res, but resing 2 people was quite commonly what actually happened. So, in that situation where, like, 2 people get picked off in an ultimate like that, if you've got Valkyrie, you get to undo that ultimate and then just keep fighting while you now are super buffed, and it's really hard for people to die, and it's really hard for you to die because you're in the sky. So, having Valkyrie is very important, and getting to Valkyrie very quickly is very important, because it's how you save that situation. If you don't have Valkyrie, there's nothing you can do, really, because people got killed by ultimates. If you have Valkyrie, you can negate some ultimates' effects still. And this Mercy is a hero about being as efficient as possible, because you want to build up your ultimate as quickly as possible, because it is one of the strongest ultimates in the entire game. So, a lot of playing Mercy is like being as efficient as possible with healing and damage boosting, because that's kind of how you have your impact in the game, but also because Valkyrie is really strong, and you just want to get to it as quickly as possible, so that you can use it and basically win the team fight that you engage in. So we have got Valkyrie right now. I would just pop it immediately, because they are definitely coming in, because Moira just used Coalescence. Junkrat has just died. Where did Junkrat die? Do we know where Junkrat died? Where was Junkrat when he died? Junkrat died right there. So we should just pop Valkyrie, turn around, and res that dude who is on the staircase behind us, because we want him to be alive again. We don't seem to even be aware that he was there, but we should have res that dude. Just, like, pop it immediately and res that guy. We pull out the pistol to try and kill that Pharah, which is fair enough. Junkrat's tire is currently circling like a shark trying to get us. 2 people are dead right now? No, D.Va just lost her mech, so no, 2 people are not dead right now. Correct? Yes, correct. D.Va just lost her mech. Okay. Just, like, swoop in now and res that dude. GA goes mad fast in Valkyrie. Just, like, swoop in, res this guy, swoop back up again. Because, like, floating down to this guy and resing him might seem like it has the same effect, but it puts you in a more dangerous location. Because if you just swoop down immediately and res this guy, you've still got a few seconds left on GA, so you can float back up into the sky where you're harder to kill. Just slowly floating down to the dude. Yeah, we res him, but now we're just on the ground because we didn't have time to float back away again. So we're in a more dangerous position at the end of the Valkyrie, even though we still res the dude. We used the second charge before Valkyrie actually ended, though, which is the important part, because that actually lets us res the D.Va again afterwards. Zenyatta just fell off the map, which is of course very sad for him. Hopefully he wasn't using Transcendence at the time. There's nothing more satisfying than just, like, hooking or, like, booping the Transcendence into the pit. No, there is. It's when you boop the Lucio into the pit while he's dropping the beat. And then he drops the beat alright in the pit. And then he loses sound barrier as well because of what they did to ultimates, which is very sad for heroes like Lucio. It's a bigger nerf than people might think. It's not like that uncommon for Lucio to die whilst in the middle of dropping the beat, and suddenly you just lose the ultimate for that. It's quite terrible, because its sound barrier takes a while to charge up. So, we've been pinging at this dude to come to us for healing. Standing up on the sides of the room, these rooms, is not actually that terrible. So, like, you don't necessarily need to be afraid to just go up there and heal the diva, because there isn't really much that can punish you for doing that right now, because the enemy team is still regrouping after losing the team fight anyway. And, like, fighting in these areas is pretty common on this map, so, like, coming up here is not terrible. We just take a really long time to get there, because we were afraid to just walk up the staircase, and then it puts us in this awkward position where, like, we get there as Diva's losing her mech, and then the enemy team is actually regrouping. We could have just walked up the staircase and gotten to her and started healing her mech before then, and maybe that whole situation is avoided. We'll, of course, never know, because it happened in a parallel dimension. But there was no reason to be afraid of just walking up around the corner. The enemy team is still regrouping, therefore they aren't there to punish us, and fighting in those areas isn't even that unusual. So, currently losing this team fight, currently not looking like we're about to start winning the team fight, because we're outnumbered and don't really have any ultimates to use right now. We decide that we're going to pull out the pistol and try to kill the other Mercy. We did indeed do that, but we're still losing the fight. So, now, we have contested the point for a really long time, which is great and all, but, like, neither team used any ultimates, and we lost this team fight, so they probably have ult advantage after that fight, because neither team used their ultimates, but they won the fight, so they probably have more ult charge right now. Which is bad, because this is the last team fight we're gonna get. So if they have, like, 5 ultimates, and we've got, like, 1, we lose the team fight, because that's just how Overwatch is. So, we've almost got Valkyrie built up, which is cool, but this is the Valkyrie that's gonna end in sadness. Get ready. Because Junkrat has just started using his ultimate, and here it comes. We actually got the Valkyrie sooner than I thought we did. That's one of those situations where you just pop Valkyrie immediately and start floating up into the sky, because you don't want to die. Even though Transcendence is happening, Junkrat starts using his ultimate, that kills you through Transcendence. The best you can do is just get in the sky and away from that as quickly as possible. It's one of those situations where you're sitting there waiting for your ultimate, and you're just like, come on. Come on, and then just use it as soon as I get it and fly into the sky. Because it's really hard to kill Mercy when she's in the sky. This is probably the ultimate that just happened. Yes, indeed it is. Your mind's eye. And, oh, good heavens, bitrate. There we go. Hero damage down 33%. Okay. Elevator music was just playing in my mind, don't mind me. So, things that stand out the most, we don't use Valkyrie very well. It takes us a really long time to get to Valkyrie, which means we aren't being very efficient before then. A lot of it can also be the team is, like, fucking around, which is the case in a few situations, but, like, we don't get Valkyrie very quickly, and Valkyrie is one of the faster charging ultimates in the game. We then don't use Valkyrie really well, and Valkyrie is, like, very, very strong. It is one of the strongest ultimates in the entire game. Debatably the strongest, but I would still argue that, like, Dragon Blade is stronger than, Valkyrie is. Valkyrie is very strong, so we want to get to that as quickly as possible, and then we don't use it very well, which is also bad. And then positioning-wise, there's a lot of just, like, not accounting for where the enemy team would be. First checkpoint, backing up, like, in first round, I should say. We're backing up into the enemy team where they will likely be coming from, and then they indeed do come out behind us while we aren't looking at them. And then we go for a lot of reses that are not recommended because the entire enemy team is there, and even if we do actually res them, they still die, and we probably die trying to res them. So we go for a lot of reses that aren't advisable to go for, as well. So, thank you very much for watching. If you have any questions, feel free to ask. I'm more than happy to answer, and I hope you found the video helpful.